Hey guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before this video gets started, I just wanted to say thank you guys for helping me reach 200 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. If you haven't yet though, if the people are brand new seeing this video, hearing my voice right now, if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and help us reach our goal of 300 subscribers. But we got the opening weekend of the CDL. How did it go? Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. Welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We got another 50 bomb for you, this time on Crossroads Strike. And as we did last year with the Call of Duty League, we're going to be recapping every event. Every weekend, every major, we're going to give, more towards the major, we're going to give some power rankings, more accurate to what I think they are, more than recapping after every single weekend, because it's going to change all the time, depending on match to match. It's going to change, especially early on. But this past weekend was the Atlanta FaZe homestand, and oh boy, did we have some good matches. But I could talk about, the intro so long, but we got matches to cover. So our first matchup of the entire weekend was the Los Angeles Thieves versus the Minnesota Rocker. Now this one, we're going to go kind of quick through most of these, but this one was a pretty close matchup until Game 4, where the LA Thieves just kind of smoked the Rocker, and LA Thieves kind of won 3-1. So, Minnesota, like we've been talking about, has been a good team, and LA was a team that, struggled at the kickoff weekend, but still we knew was going to be a good team. So this was a pretty good battle. Was definitely excited to watch this one. But our second matchup of the event was the Dallas Empire versus the Seattle Surge. Nothing really too crazy happened in this one. Dallas wins this one relatively easy, getting the 3-0, moving on to Friday. So day 2 of the event brought us Optic Chicago versus the Paris Legion. This one was interesting to watch, right? Paris started out on the opening hardpoint, like breaking them instantly. Then Optic kind of ran away with the hardpoint, but then games 2 and 3 were a lot closer. So I definitely like to see Optic, clean up their search game, because, the match later in the week, oh boy. But yeah, control was super close. Like I said, the hard point was close at first, but then Optic kind of ran away with it. So nothing really crazy in that one, but a little closer than I'd like. Optic wins it 3-0. Our second matchup of Friday, day number 2, featured Atlanta FaZe versus the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Not really much of a blowout, but Atlanta does win this one in the 3-0 fashion. And like I said, nothing really, too much really happened in this one. But Atlanta shows their class 3-0. On to Saturday, though, day number 3. The Los Angeles Guerrillas and the Paris Legion, most likely 2 of the bottom teams in the league, was actually a relatively close series in the first 2 games. LA wins those 2. Paris then comes back, wins the next 2 on the verge of the reverse sweep, where the Los Angeles Guerrillas deny it, winning game number 5. Los Angeles Guerrillas walk away with a 3-2 victory. Overall, match number 6 features the Florida Mutineers and the Toronto Ultra. Relatively competitive series, but again, nothing really too crazy as far as storylines went in this one. Really expecting Florida to do way more, especially given the preseason hype around these guys. But actually, Toronto wins this one 3-1, and I mean, it's a big upset. Kind of, obviously I wouldn't have predicted that if I would bet in this matchup. But Toronto comes away with the 3-1 victory. And our last matchup on Saturday features the Los Angeles Thieves versus the New York Subliners. Now this matchup, you probably wouldn't think this matchup to be very close, especially since the New York Subliners had to make a roster change to start off the season. Like I covered in the last video, New York ended up having to move Zuma to the bench for medical reasons, and Zuma ended up retiring, and they moved up Diamond Khan from their academy roster. So who knows what their practice was like, but obviously it helped, as the New York Subliners played this series extremely close. And I mean, when I say extremely close, Listen to these scores. In hardpoint, 250 to 241, 9-point game. Search and destroy, round 11, 6-5. Control, 3-2. But at the end of the day, Los Angeles Thieves still win this series 3-0, but it was a very good showing by the New York Subliners. And on to Championship Sunday, even though there's no trophy given out on this last day of the event, the London Royal Ravens go against the Seattle Surge. Much like the matchup earlier with LAG and Paris, Seattle goes up 2-0, London comes back 2-2, and Seattle wins this one in the game 5. Which is a pretty good performance from Seattle. I know, London isn't with their actual team, but it's a really good showing from Seattle, just given their slow start to the year, and everyone kind of thinks they suck. Then our second matchup of Sunday featured the Dallas Empire and the Minnesota Rocker, and we have upset alert, Minnesota. We've been talking about these guys since they made this roster as a potential upset team, and they have the upset potential. Do I consider them a top 3 team in the game? No, but this team could definitely upset some of the top teams, and in this one they did. They face off against the Dallas Empire, and in the game 5, Minnesota wins this one, showing a lot of people that they might be considered for that top 4. And for our 10th and final match of the weekend on Championship Sunday, even like I said, there's no championship given out. It's the Battle of the Titans. Optic Chicago versus Atlanta FaZe. And we finally got to see this matchup before the end of the year. And we actually get to see it early, which is fabulous because not being able to see these teams face off against each other in anything but scrims was an absolute travesty. And obviously this was a good one. So Optic started off really strong in the hard point, still relatively close. Then Atlanta absolutely wiped the floor with them in the first search and destroy. Optic then wins a super close control match. Game 4 featured a extremely close hard point that could have gone either way. I think it was like a 5-point game in the end, but like I said, very, very close. In that one, and then once again the search came up and Optic just didn't look good at all. So Optic probably should have won that game for a hard point and put the series over, but Optic basically controlled most of the time in the respawn game modes, but Atlanta looked unstoppable in the searches. But after an incredible weekend, and I mean tons of good matches, some upsets, some battles of the Titans, we had a great weekend. Lots of really fun matches to watch, and overall, the most important thing is Call of Duty is back. The COD League is back, and I could not be happier. But following this weekend, we are going to show you the standings, though this is how it goes. So on top is, I believe, Group A. Yeah, it was with the Dallas Empire. So a little bit surprising to see, the teams play out this way. But the LA Thieves hold the #1 spot, and obviously it's still really early in the year, so don't take any of this, too seriously. But the LA Thieves sit on first overall, 2-0, 6-1 map count. Dallas falls to 1-1 after losing to Minnesota. Minnesota also sits at 1-1. Seattle in 4th, I guess tied for 4th at 1-1 as well. And then London and New York 0-1 respectively. So some pretty close matchups. Obviously, I don't really have any worries about Dallas. I think they'll get right back up there, following this week into next weekend. I don't have any problems with them, but some teams might be surprising you, and I'm kind of excited to see where that group goes. But looking down at Group B, though, Atlanta sits at the top. Not really a question about it. It was going to be between Optic and Atlanta who was going to be at the top of this group. And yeah, Atlanta 2-0, 6-2 map count. Toronto sits in 2nd, only because they actually only played one matchup. Optic Chicago sits in 3rd, 1-1. LAG in 4th, 1-1. Florida down in 5th with 0-1, and then Paris all the way at the bottom there, 0-2. So Group B looks a little bit more standard, potentially, depending on how these teams play off next weekend. That's exactly where the matches are going to resume. We're all done for this weekend, but next weekend we got more matches, more intense battles, potentially some upsets. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and as always, guys, see you in the next one.